rushed. Now, the big talk today around privacy, around lots of debates talking on regulation, security, etc. But the next talk, and at the end of our popcorn panels here, we're going to move into another panel. This one is actually titled Decentralized Confidential Computing. So we'd like to bring the panel up onto stage. And it looks like we have a full house. So Bruce, over to you.
Hey, everybody. We do have a full panelist, and today is going to be a little bit of a surprise because for some of them, this is my first time meeting them as well. So my name is Bruce An. I'm the Chief of Staff at Partisia Blockchain Foundation. We have our technology is in multi-party computation. So you guys decided to sit at the order of, no, okay, perfect. Yeah. So we have on our panel, Brechy?
Yes.
Brechy from PSE, I think you're doing research.
Yes.
On MPC. Okay. And then we have Anthony Simonet representing, well, actually we have Ben. Ben, who is the CTO of Midnight. I think a lot of you guys have heard Midnight before. And then we have Daniel Lumi. Daniel, could you give me a little bit more about yourself?
Yes, I was, wow, that's loud. Previously the senior product manager of ZKStack for ZKSync, and I just left a month ago. So.
ZKSync, I think a lot of you guys know that name as well. And then we have Anthony Simonet, who is a research, head of research. Yeah, at iExec, representing TEE.
Yes.
So I think the one of the big narrative about DEC, or decentralized confidential computing, is that there's actually a lot of technologies being represented by this movement. So I think the first question that I wanted to ask you guys is, why are you all so passionate about this technology? Brechy, maybe we can start with you.
Sure. MPC is all about privacy. So the core purpose of MPC is enabling you to calculate functions in a private way. And I really believe about privacy. I think privacy is a right that we all need to have. But I also am on this side that privacy enables us to have the kinds of society that we have and could even like improve them in some way. I think it's very dangerous if we go towards a world in which we will have less privacy, more than I think it's a better word if we will have to basically have the right or the freedom to choose who can access our data. Right now, I think we don't have that choice.
From a blockchain perspective, you mean?
No, I mean in general, like in every aspect, yes.
Okay, got it, interesting. Ben, what are your thoughts? Why are you so passionate about privacy?
Well, so I'm passionate about the technology, just based on the background, and then the technology that we provide gives you some freedoms, freedoms of association, commerce, and expression. So things that enable privacy, things that enable you to have the interactions that you have day to day, outside of the site of being totally transparent to anybody else that wants to observe. So those types of technologies enable lots of different types of business models, but also enable interactions that you do in your kind of in real life capability. And we just need to bring those to Web3 to enable that interaction to occur out over the web.
So it's really about interaction with people and people needing privacy as part of their day-to-day life.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Yeah.
I would say for that too, of like, obviously all of us care about privacy as a human right? But privacy has also become a taboo, which is interesting considering like literally none of our technology would work without privacy. Like privacy is a normal thing in human life that we expect. It's not something that we just do crime with, right? Like you wouldn't want a video camera in your bathroom, right? Like the internet, literally, you could not make purchases on Amazon if we didn't have end-to-end encryption. It's part of what we need as society, and we're slowly letting it go and then making sort of a taboo out of private computation, which honestly is again, core to enterprises. No companies ever release their proprietary trading information. Like, society wouldn't function without it. So I think we need to go back to enabling users to have an informed choice, but also just build it as a default because the world needs it, even if we don't realize it.
That's an interesting, insight, because I've always thought that in any kind of emerging technology, as an example, the internet, when the internet first came out, everything was transparent on the network. And then, we needed
And
privacy.
encryption was illegal.
Exactly. Yeah, we needed to have that privacy included. So maybe it's a part of maturing the blockchain technology, perhaps. Anthony, what are your thoughts?
I really love that question, and I'm not only passionate about privacy, I'm also passionate about confidential computing, and the reason is very, very simple. I think we all grew in a world where there was no privacy, or where your privacy was dependent on the will of a third party to implement or to give you control. And it's only very recently that these technologies have emerged that let you actually implement privacy and confidentiality. The fact that I'm passionate about it is because it's just happening now. There is a switch that is happening, and I think in a couple of years, I mean, we already have some pretty nice, decent tools. I would bet that in a couple of years, probably less than 10 years, all of these FHE, MPC, ZK protocols will be not only mature, but also mainstream, convenient, fast, and we will be able to implement the privacy that we were dreaming of when we were, maybe not 5, but when you started sharing things on Facebook and be like, wait, what's happening to my data? Like, what's happening to my pictures?
You're a very passionate 5-year-old. I think
I was
busy
a
with other
nerd,
things
okay?
at 5.
I just was a nerd, but I always been worried. I mean, it never stopped me from sharing, like Facebook posts or pictures or anything. But there's always like, what's happening to it? When is it gonna, slap me back in the face? And so, yeah, the fact that this is becoming possible is really, really fascinating, and being a part of it is really, really great.
I think that kind of goes back to, like, everybody has a different set of risk profiles, right? Some people may be okay in revealing certain things. Some people may be very uncomfortable in revealing other things. And everybody has different types of risk profiles. So how do we enable these types of different risk profiles and be customizable for everybody? And so maybe we'll go back to you, Anthony. So this is the DEC Alliance, which is really focused on promoting confidential computing and the necessity of it in the Web3 world. But there's so many different technologies that's being represented here. TEE, MPC, zero knowledge proof, and then you also have things like differential privacy, and you have fully homomorphic encryption. There's all of these different technologies. So just as a side item to everybody, these questions are unknown to them. They're not prepared. So whatever they answer now is gonna be from the heart. So I'm gonna ask them some uncomfortable questions.
Let's go.
Okay, let's go. So, can you tell me, you're representing TEE. What are the pros and cons of TEE?
So first, I would like to acknowledge that this was intentional. I thought you forgot to send the talking points, but okay.
It was intentional.
Yeah, it's very funny because so I studied at iExec in 2019, and that's where I think we started building with T's in 2018. And so when I joined the company, I did a lot of research, reviews, state of the art, and the first thing that was there were two things that were very obvious to T's. One is the dependence on a manufacturer.
So it's hardware-based.
It's hardware-based.
Okay.
So there's the manufacturer. There's also the cloud provider. Someone at a very large manufacturer told me that some very large cloud provider in the US leaves backdoors for the NSA. I don't mean to sound like a crazy a crazy guy, but we know it's happening, right? So there is this, and the other thing is usability.
Which one? Which cloud provider?
I'll tell you outside, but you can guess. And the other thing is usability, which is very important for us at iExec, because our model is really you come with your program, your Docker container, and you run it in a TE. So back then, my first thought was, it's simple, right? If you cannot trust a TE, just use several. So we started doing MPC on top of SGX, and so you split your secrets in a way using, for example, Xiaomi secret sharing. You split the secrets in a way so that they never end up on the same chip. So the assumption was exploits on SGX are very hard to do. Exploits on SGX in different
SGX is the chipset that is
yes,
running. Perfect.
Intel chips. Coordinating an attack on several of these chips at the same time is extremely difficult. And of course, the next step is, okay, what if I use chips from different providers? So right now there is NVIDIA, Intel, and a little bit of ARM, but not so much. If I need to find a zero-day exploit from 3 chips from 3 different manufacturers and coordinate an attack, that seems very, very complicated. And so that was my assumption maybe 3-4 years ago. And I attended the PET Summit for Privacy Enhancing Technology Summit several times. And I noticed that the last time I've been there was a new keyword that appeared, and that's called hybrid PET. And the end game is everyone in the PET industry is admitting that their solution, be it ZK, MPC, FHE, or TE, everyone admits that their own garden is not enough to solve entire use cases. So FHE is slow, so you want to accelerate it. TE is vulnerable to hardware attacks, so you want to put MPC on top and so on.
You're taking away my thunder, just an FYI. But I'm gonna get back to that point in a second. So Daniel, ZK, what are the pros and cons of ZK?
So I think first of all, it's important to separate out the uses of ZK, right? First of all, like for ZKSync, we used ZK for the syncness property. So essentially being able to verify correct execution somewhere else without rerunning the execution, right? That's what makes an L2 secure for ZK-L2. Then there's the actual zero knowledge property of zero knowledge proofs, which we did not use, right? So ZKs are complex mathematics, right? Like, actually, they've been worked on since like the 60s, 70s, but the first use of non-interactive generalized ZK was implemented by Eli Ben-Sasson in 2016. So it's new cryptography, right? Cryptography always has this property of like the safety in cryptography is basically a function of time x money. Like how long has it been implemented for and how much can you get from it? Luckily, there's very good bug bounties in ZK. You get a lot of money if you hack it quickly. So the money part is high, but the time hasn't been long. So for at least for well, this applies also for privacy applications. Like you should probably use, if it's mission critical, if it's secure, you should probably use something like a TEE to have a second factor authentication to make sure that it's safe, and then you can freeze the protocol. And then for other privacy applications, like maybe if you figure out an exploit and a proof system, then you can actually like provide a proof for something that didn't happen, right? So those are the sort of like the most negative parts of ZK. It also makes it hard to have like account model, but ZK honestly is like something like collaborative snarks is probably gonna take off much faster than something like FHE, because FHE is really computationally expensive, right? And you cannot prove that on a ZK circuit, so it cannot be an L2. You need TEs to create a private key or decryption key. So you just it doesn't make sense to do it at all, right? Until maybe in the future when we figure out some of these challenges. So it's just sort of the hammer that fits almost every nail, right? It doesn't fit every nail, but you can use it for a lot of different aspects. I think honestly, like, it will be like all of these solutions it's not FHE versus ZK versus MPC. Like we will do collaborative MPC, ZK.
Now you're stealing my thunder again, but yes. No, I absolutely agreed. ZK to me is like it's fairly simple, also simple to implement. It's not, it doesn't require rocket science, and doesn't require an entire node setup to implement. So, Ben, really quick on your side, what are the pros and cons of Midnight?
The pros and cons of Midnight. Oh well, there are only pros. So Midnight's focus is to kind of talk about what it is it applies ZK in the way where you can actually protect your data and preserve your privacy. So what Midnight allows you to do as a developer is you can build out an application that's a smart contract in a way that you're very familiar with, right? It's going to look like TypeScript. It's going to have a set of variables, a set of witnesses, and a set of functions that you execute to advance the state of that particular contract. When you run it through the compiler, you're going to produce the verifier and the proving key. Verifier key is what goes on chain. The circuit that you produce actually comes to the user. So the user builds their own proof with that information to evidence the information that's going into the transaction, and the proof is what gets pushed to chain. So if you wanted to have an interaction where maybe you need to represent that you're an individual of a certain type or a certain flavor, you can do that with a credential, and that credential never leaves your possession. There's no record of even using that credential in the transaction that's on the chain. However, the provider of the service that is running this can be compliant. They can actually challenge you with whatever the appropriate challenge is. You can satisfy that and you can advance the application. So that's what Midnight allows. The pros of it is it's in testnet now, so you can get it up and running, you can use it, you can feel it, you can see where the latency is, you can see how the chain works. You're going to see a bunch of advancements that we have stocked up on the shelves to just keep rolling out to keep people interested. And the places where, maybe it's not so good as this adoption, plain and simple, right? In Web3 space, adoption is something that is going to pick up. We have a change, at least I'm from the US, so there's a change afoot in the US where Web3, I'm telling you, is going to take off. And that adoption is going to start to pick up, and we simply need to get it into the hands of the people that want to use it.
So just as a teaser, use case is my next follow-up question. But before that, Brechy, MPC, pros and cons.
No, that's a I like your positive message. So yes. So regarding MPC, I think it's a trade-off stuff, So certainly, I agree also on the point that we will all end up using these technologies together, and that we, like MPC, could leverage TEs to, I don't know, enhance some trust assumptions. But I think the key of MPC is that you can handle your trust assumptions the way as you wish, and you can use a broad set of multiple schemes of what it suits best to you, and that is not as low as FHE nowadays, so it's actually practical to use.
Well, FHE isn't here, so we can badmouth them. So
no.
Fuck those guys.
Hey, easy. Oh, sorry, Becky, go ahead.
No, that's fine. Yeah, I won't bet FHE guys. Yeah. So, for instance, you can build Constark's technology using MPC. So it's I guess it's one more tool that we can use to enable privacy, and I think that it's pretty cool that we're not tied to any blockchain-specific environment, and this can be applied all over the place.
Yeah, thanks for that. I think one of the message that I'm kind of getting back is that there's a use case for every single one of our technology. There's always a particular use case that I think fits for a particular entity, perhaps, and that we're actually collaborating quite a bit with each other to provide to take advantage of the pros, but also to help fill the gaps that maybe each of our technology has. So my follow-up question really is about use case, and the question is, well, why should anybody care? Privacy is such a boring topic. Why should people care about this? And so maybe, Brechy, I can start with you to talk a little bit about use cases, real-world use cases where MPC is either being used or that you're working on. Could you tell the audience why they should care about this?
Yeah, no, okay. This is something I've been thinking a lot recently, and I can't say why people should care. I think that should come from people. I mean, I don't have an answer. Clearly, there's a lot of people working on this specific topic. Why should people care? It's the same as if you think about blockchain. Why should people care about blockchain? Some live in very established countries in which the banking system is okay, so they don't really care about blockchain. Yeah, why should people care about privacy? I think it's just people is not aware of how much data they're actually giving to these tech monopolies. And MPC can be a really useful tool so to that you can interact with these big companies without them actually knowing your specific data. So they can still monetize data in a way that they cannot track specific private data, private information. MPC can really enable these different levels of how much data you want to give, let's say.
So one of the narratives, I'm going to try to plug in Partisia Blockchain just a little bit. One of the narrative that we say is that Bitcoin enabled self-custody of your assets. It enables self-custody of your own assets. And I think these privacy enhancement technology is enabling the self-custody of your data now. We're evolving not just from self-custodying your assets, but now being able to control your own data as well. And so I think you're kind of hitting on that mark.
I agree 100%, yes.
Ben, why should people care and what are you building that's cool?
Well, yeah, I would like to follow up on your question there about privacy. So I think in general, people do care about privacy. However, they're willing to give it up for something that's free or something that's convenient. And so one way to think about it is if you're walking down the road and there's money laying on the ground, how much does it have to be for you to pick it up? There's some value that's, once it's laying there, you're just going to leave it and you're going to walk by. However, if there's enough, then you're willing to pick it up and put it in your pocket and take it with you. What we've been provided is we've been provided a bunch of systems that are very convenient and very free and enable you to do this interaction, which I've enjoyed, for my lifetime. But you're compromised, right? You're giving that information to the individual or the organization that's providing it to you. And what people are learning is that, well, why is the information about me, which they value, right? They are picking this up off the street and putting it in their pocket. Why can't that be returned to me? And so that's, in a way, exactly what Midnight enables. Midnight enables you to keep your information protected on your own machine, never leaves your machine, and there is no record or information that goes on the chain. So it's not encrypted and put on the chain. The only thing that goes to the chain is a proof and then any update of public state that needs to happen to coordinate. And so what that allows is that allows a whole bunch of interactions that exist in the economy today to be put out in Web3, and now rather than having somebody else pick up that $5 off the floor, I get to put it in my pocket and expend it when I choose.
That makes perfect
I would
sense.
say I love this question, honestly, because we need to stop yelling the word privacy, right? I love privacy. I do, really, but there's so many use cases for privacy that are very real use cases. Like, we can solve diseases faster if you can share your medical data without sharing the actual data, and you can train an AI model to cure cancer, right? Society should care about that. I'm pretty sure they would, right? Like, supply chain tracking, without every party publicly disclosing their confidential information makes products cheaper, right? Like for private payments, I'd like to believe people would care about that. Otherwise we're building, in my opinion, a dystopia if everything's public. Like you go to a gas station attendant and he sees everything you bought, which sometimes we don't buy good things, right? There's so many use cases for privacy outside of the sort of common examples, and that's the part that we need to stress. That's the part that we need to talk about more, so people start, we start renormalizing the word privacy rather than thinking of an on a hacker somewhere. And a lot of these use cases, enterprises will never ever use blockchain if it's all public. They won't. No bank will ever use it at all. No normal company will ever use blockchain other than for maybe payments or tracking you for everything if we don't have privacy, because that's the world we operate in today. So if we want adoption for crypto, we should be screaming privacy. Okay, maybe not that word because I just said not to, but you know what I mean. We should be talking and educating lawmakers. We should be educating our own community that a privacy event is not a niche event. It's protecting your human rights, it's growing your industry, and it's solving problems for the world.
Thanks for that. I know we're running out of time, so really quickly, Anthony, what are you guys building and that's cool?
Wow,
I had an answer, but it's not quick. I'm so sorry. Okay, I'll try to make it quick. I just figured out, I heard of a project that's building on iExec just a few days ago, and I think it's really cool. I'm going to speak very fast. The idea is you're eligible to an airdrop, but you don't want to show your precious wallet, right? Because when you go to a protocol, you don't use your actual wallet. You just use like, a burner wallet.
Hey, don't be farming.
Right? I mean, come on. And so we have this project building on iExec, and what they did is you get your precious wallet, the one that is eligible to the airdrop. You go to a ZK ring, so you get a proof that you are a member of this circle of rich people, and you get a proof of that. And then you go to iExec with your actual wallet, the one that you want to receive the airdrop on, but that is public because has very little coins on it. You give also the proof that you own an actual wallet, and then you get the airdrop. So you get a proof that you are big, like maybe you're a whale, and you also get the benefit of an airdrop, but you never go public. And that's very concrete, very working. And by the way, there is the first airdrop. I wasn't planning to plug this, but there is an airdrop going on this week, and the snapshot will be at the end of DevCon, I think.
Wait, did I get it?
You have to go to iExec Privacy Pass.
So it's like an ATM, almost like an ATM. It sounds like. Yeah. So I know we are out of time. I want to first of all, thanks for the wonderful panelists for dealing with the surprise questions, so authentic answers. So thank you for that. So a round of applause for our panelists, and thank you guys for attending this session.